can do is try to imagine and wonder what makes 4 adults agree that this is okay. That's the big question.
The 16 children rescued from the so-called House of Horrors in Vinton County are now safe, but even Ciders family members are raising questions about how this could have happened, and they have ideas about.
The official record reads like an administrative kapakot, case 2021 TRs 142. 6 minor children habitually truant. Parents' location unknown. 6 children, documented only by their absence. A filing stamped, scanned, and buried inside the Gallia County Juvenile Court system. Now, multiply that number by almost 3. 16 children. That is the gap between what the state of Ohio could prove and what it refused to see. Imagine a house that is not a house at all. It is a filing cabinet sitting at the end of a dead end road in Vinton County, choked by woods and a railroad yard. 16 drawers in that cabinet. Each drawer holds a human being, ages 18 months to 18 years. The cabinet never opens during daylight. When it does open, it is after 9:30 at night. The drawers do not go to school. The drawers do not ask for help. And for at least 3 years, not a single person turned the handle to check what was inside. Before we go deeper into what the documents actually show, make sure you are subscribed to Endless Cryme, because we do not just cover the story, we follow the evidence. The children are safe now.
This is a horrible case. I wish we were talking about something more joyful, a little happier, but thank goodness these 16 children are safe, and they have been indeed placed in foster care. Is that your understanding?
That is correct.
Are they outside of Vinton County? Because Vinton County is a small county. It's the least populous county in the state. I can't imagine that there are enough families there who are foster parents that they could all remain in that county.
I can't imagine it either. So one can only assume at this point in time, because I don't know. I would assume that at least some of them have gone outside the county. I truly don't know where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And
that is the official phrase, safe, an elastic word stretched over a reality that law enforcement described as absolute squalor, human and pet feces, urine-soaked attics filled with children's clothing arranged like bedding. 4 adults agreed this was acceptable. Gary Ciders Junior, Elizabeth Ciders, Christina Lynn Ciders, Gary Ciders Senior. 4 adults, 16 charges of child endangering each. All pleaded not guilty. The not guilty plea is a legal mechanism, but when applied to 16 separate counts involving children who were never enrolled in school, it becomes something else. It becomes a statement of fact that the outside world was simply an inconvenience. The logical question is money.
Prosecutor William Archer said during a press conference last week that he was only aware of the grandparents receiving government benefits. Now, I've been asking the question, were Elizabeth and Gary Jr. receiving state benefits like food stamps or other public assistance? State agencies, they can't answer that question directly because of privacy laws. But at a hearing this week, the issue came up indirectly.
For 40 years, I've never seen anything like this. This is to have kids that would be off the radar. A child off the radar is terrible enough. 16 kids in one family in one household. To be off the radar is something that I've just not seen. So I do think that as we go through and do our investigations and we talk to these kids and we really start looking at things, we'll have a much better sense about how we can certainly improve the system. But I do think that the community, they do report things. They do request help or support for kids, and we want them to continue to do that. And we'll, I'm sure, have a much better sense of just where things could be better.
If you have 16 children and no visible income, how do you eat? The answer provided by the prosecutor is you do not, at least not through any traceable public safety net. Gary Jr. and Elizabeth did not apply for SNAP benefits, no food stamps, no monthly stipend. The only income investigators could identify was the grandparent Social Security payment.
Joel Potts, the head of the Department of Children and Youth, was in front of the controlling board earlier this week. And you all sent $1 million, allocated $1 million to send down there to help care just for these children. Obviously, there may be more money needed. Did Mr. Potts say anything about, what was your understanding from Mr. Potts's testimony or his discussion in front of the controlling board about whether his agency aired here or anything to that effect?
I questioned Mr. Potts and myself. I said, did anybody drop the ball or anybody not doing their jobs? And the answer was no. you know, we can't really figure this out why somebody with 16 children didn't ask for help. To my knowledge, they didn't ask for SNAP benefits or any type of public assistance on that type of nature, which doesn't make sense to start with if you're not working and or care about your children. But I find that this whole thing very troubling, very hard to reason with here.
Mm-hmm. You know, Vinton County is a small county. It has an $8 million operating budget. This is not a wealthy county by any stretch of the imagination. However, I went down there and I thought it was like a cute little place, the village of Hamden. Most of the houses are kept up. There are
Yeah.
some that aren't kept up as well. But what we saw on Omar Street is not the norm
No.
in Vinton County. So I'm kind of at a loss for, was anybody trying to work? Are there good paying jobs available down there? I mean, I drove by Jackson and there was a Walmart in Jackson, and that's only like 15 minutes up the road.
Of course, there's jobs available, and there's a Pillsbury has a large food processing manufacturing. They have over 1,000 employees within 5 miles of Hampton. It's there right there in Wellston. You go over in Jackson, there's quite a few industrial jobs over there. There's all kind of construction jobs that's available. A lot of Vinton County residents, they come to Chillicothe to work. Chillicothe has the Kenworth truck assembly plant there.
Mhm.
Several work there, but it's the second tier suppliers to the Kenworth, which makes up about 1,300 people that work in these second tier supply houses. They employ a lot of Vinton County people. The employers really like Vinton County people. They're dependable, they're hardworking. We can count on them. They'll come back.
That single check became the economic foundation of a 16-child household. The financial logic collapses instantly. 16 human bodies require calories. They require clothing. They require something. Yet the system that monitors dependency recorded nothing. The family was not hiding money. They were hiding existence nobody knocked. That is the first time you will hear that phrase. It will not be the last. The rhythm of bureaucratic failure here is not loud. It is the quiet sound of a paper trail dissolving. In Gallia County, school officials filed truancy complaints against 6 of the oldest children in the fall of 2021.
In this house in Gallia County, when the school district filed complaints about 6 of the oldest children not attending school in the fall of 2021, those children were considered habitually truant by the school district and were in danger of being deemed unruly children under the law. The case never proceeded because the courts couldn't find Elizabeth and Gary to serve them with the paperwork. A man rehabbing that house in Cheshire actually told ABC 6 News in Columbus that the house was in bad shape. He told the outlet that he found a lot of kids' clothes in the attic, as if someone was living in it. And the entire house had urine and human and pet feces in it. He called it rough. Records show the Ciders once lived in this house on Poplar Church Road in Gallia County many, many years ago. The Ciders have at least 4 prior addresses in Gallia County. Then in 2020 or 2021, it appears the family made the move to Vinton County. Gary and Elizabeth lived in this house on Main Street until they moved into the house on Omar Street, where investigators said they found the 16 children living in squalor.
The children were habitually absent, at risk of being declared unruly under Ohio law. The court attempted service. It failed. The parents had already relocated. The case died because a process server could not find a door to knock on. That detail alone is devastating. The state had a legal instrument to intervene, but it required a physical address. When the address evaporated, so did the state's memory. The family moved again. Jackson County, Pike County, eventually Vinton County. Each move was a software reset on institutional awareness.
Family, I mean Gary Junior and Elizabeth, for their 16 children. Are you aware of that?
The only assistance that I'm aware of is they've all the children, all 16 of these children, plus there was a set of twins that was stillborn, were born in area hospitals. And I think the last set of twins or so was born in Columbus, and majority of them was in Gallipolis. Some was over in Athens. And, they've been transient they've gone from Gallia County. I think they was in Jackson County at one time. They was in Pike County at one time. And then they came to Vinton County somewhere along the line over 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like they've been in Vinton, from what we've been able to trace through records for at least 3 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, and my only assumption is they've never lived anywhere other than this home in Hamden, which is on a dead end road with only one other home on the other side of them. There's woods and foliage all around this home, and then in front of the house is a railroad yard. And so it was somewhat very secluded. The one neighbor says, I don't recall seeing a child. I haven't talked to him myself, but, nobody's seen 16 children. And, or anybody imagine somebody having 16 kids in our modern time. But it is what it is. There's multiple sets of twins here. And so that probably drove the number up. So, but, it's mind boggling. I've been there myself. I wanted to see the home, so I could better represent and have some knowledge. I'm just like everybody else. All you can do is try to imagine and wonder what makes 4 adults agree that this is okay. That's the big question, and then I talked to the hardware store. He said Gary Junior had been in there one time, bought some plumbing. That was well over a year ago. And he said, other than that, we never seen any of them. I'm told that they went to the Dollar General, and when they did go to the Dollar General, it was after 9:30 p.m. or somewhere close to dusk or after dark, or the last customer there. None of it makes any sense, to be quite honest. And when you try to reason why, you have 4 adults think that this is okay. The children was not enrolled in school. That in itself is an issue. Was they running from the truancy issues and running from CPS? Maybe. I mean, they packed up and moved quite often, which is for no good reason that anybody can tell.
And here is the structural horror. The Ohio Department of Children and Youth maintains a database. Complaints calls caseworker notes. But a database is not an alarm. It is a tombstone. It records what was, not what is. If a family crosses a county line, the record does not chase them. It waits. It waits forever. The state representative for the district, Mark Johnson, later told lawmakers that nobody dropped the ball because the ball was never handed to anyone.
Gallia County, did that get passed on to Jackson, Pike, and Vinton County? I don't know. That's some low-hanging fruit that the state needs to address, is how better we can communicate. And I don't think anybody will have a problem with that. Ohio Children and Youth, they've already got it's a database that they keep track of calls and complaints, and can we better get that to better serve us? That's a possibility. All this information, we're going to work with Joel Potts and
A family that isolates itself, that moves only at dusk, that buys plumbing supplies once in over a year, that never enrolls children in school, becomes a statistical black hole. The database does not scream. It simply shows 0 entries. Nobody knocked, that is the second time. Focus on what is hardening here. The phrase is not an accusation. It is an autopsy finding. Shift to the parallel narrative, the one offered by extended family.
One family member wrote on Facebook, "First, I am the niece of Gary Senior and Lynn Ciders. Yes, I love my uncle and aunt. I was raised up knowing them as clean, respectful, and lovable people. I know the 3 oldest girls. I know of Gary Jr., but I really don't know them too. I can remember going to their house. It would be clean, and I can remember smelling lavender. Yes, there were toys on the floor, but it wasn't dirty. My aunt and uncle would not harm a child in their right state of mind. I haven't seen them for over 6 years, and I feel really bad because maybe I could have reached out and maybe tried to help them. Those babies didn't deserve none of this, but my heart is telling me that my aunt and uncle's health was deteriorating from cancer. strokes, and dementia. Please remember, God is with us all, and he knows the truth. I believe in my heart that Gary Jr. was abusive to them. Please leave the family alone. Let the court do it.
A niece posted on Facebook that she remembered a clean home smelling of lavender. She remembered toys on the floor, not filth. She loved her aunt and uncle. She had not seen them in over 6 years. That temporal detail is a canyon. 6 years. In 6 years, a household shape shifted from lavender to human waste. The niece suggested health deterioration, cancer, strokes, dementia, as though illness could explain why 4 adults would collectively agree to seal children away. But the law does not accept dementia as a defense for 4 co-defendants with capacity to plead not guilty. The Facebook post was grief dressed as explanation. It answered nothing. Then the hard evidence. The house on Omar Street in the village of Hamden. The neighbor who said, quote, "I don't recall seeing a child." The hardware store that saw Gary Jr. once, buying plumbing, over a year ago. The Dollar General runs after 9:30 p.m., always the last customer. This is not merely isolation. This is operational security, deliberate movement patterns designed to avoid detection. And yet the children had phones. The older ones communicated on social media. The digital world knew they existed. The physical world did not.